Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Chak Shri Rupam Sagrata Sahagana Rugatanita Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Samrudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Vishakam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyani Paschatya Deshatari Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyani Paschatya Deshatari Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu
Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
Prabhu Nityananda
श्री
Shri
अद्वैत
Advaita Gadadhara
श्रीवासादि
Sati Gaur
गौर भक्त
Bhakta-vrinda
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा श्री कृष्ण
Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
श्री
Shri
अद्वैत
Advaita Gadadhara
श्रीवासादि
Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaur Bhakta-vrinda
कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद
Nityananda
श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya
प्रभु
Prabhu Nityananda
श्री
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि भक्त वृंद
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jano, Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Acharya, Ashtotara Sata Shishimad Divine Grace, Desi Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Jai
ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Jai
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय
Jai
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपाल गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की जय
Jai
वृंदावन धाम की जय
Jai
मायापुर धाम की जय
Jai
गंगा माई की जय,
जय
यमुना माई की जय,
जय
देवी की जय,
जय
की जय,
जय
समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय,
जय
गौर प्रेम आनंदे,
हरि हरि बोल।
all glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol.
हरि हरि बोल।
Namaste Saraswate Deve Muravami Prachare Namaste Narasimhaya
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रह्लादलाददायिने हिरण्याकशिपूर्वक्षः शीलतङ्कानकालये
Ito Nrisingha Parato Nrisimho
इतो नरसिंहं परन्तो नरसिंहम्
Yato Yamitato Nrisingha
यतो यतो यमिततो नरसिंहम्
Bahir Nrisingho Hriday Nrisingho
बहिर्नरसिंहं हृदयेर्नरसिंहम्
Nrisinghadim Sharanam Prapadye
नरसिंहमादिं शरणं प्रपद्ये
Nrisinghadim Sharanam Prapadye
नरसिंहमादिं शरणं प्रपद्ये
Kamala Hare Adbhutasthaya Durita Hiranyakashipu Anupringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Kar kamala adbhuta shinga alika tanu shinga केशवगृहीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
Kamala Hare Naka Adbhutasthaya Durita Hiranyakashipu Anupringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Kamala Hare Bhuta Shriya Kalita Hiranyakashipu Tanupinda Vishwabadita Harirupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Nisim Bhagwan ki Jai. Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharya Shishi Hari Pasachari. Hare Krishna devotees, good afternoon. Welcome to our Sunday Feast virtual program. We're happy to be here with you. Of course, we wish we were all in person together, but this is our situation, and we're trying to make the best of it by providing you the experience of darshan, class, kirtan, as best as we can during this pandemic. We welcome of course, the Zoom audience that we have, as well as our YouTube audience. And before we begin tonight's class, we want to first give everyone a darshan, a close-up darshan of the deities and Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. So if you want to unmute yourself for a second, so we can all say Jai together. Parama Karuna Shri Gaur Nitai Ki
Jai.
Shri Tulsi Maharani Ki
Jai.
Shri Baladeva Ki
Jai.
Srimati Subhadra Maharani Ki
Jai.
and Shri Jagannath Swami Ki.
Jai.
Their most beautiful lordship, Shri Shri Radha Sharad Bihari Ki.
Jai.
So we're very happy that you all come to be with us this evening. We're going to continue our study of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. The way that we've been doing this, if you've been following along, is in a thematic approach, where we're taking different topics that are covered in the second chapter. Instead of going verse by verse, we're trying to take it topic by topic. We hope that you've been enjoying this approach. We're covering more material and the essence of the material as we go through the Bhagavad Gita. Tonight we have with us His Grace Kaivalya Prabhu, who will be the speaker for tonight. Kaivalya Prabhu is a disciple of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, and a very, very long-standing member, and the leader here at ISKCON Philadelphia. Kaivalya Prabhu, we're very happy that you're with us today, especially this is special because it's your birthday today. And we heard from Kaivalya Prabhu this morning, of those that were in our Bhagavatam class. And Kaivalya Prabhu was telling me, actually, he's spending his day, speaking about Krishna. I think this is his third class that he'll be giving today. What a wonderful way to recognize the importance of life, the importance of our birth in this human form of life, and the gift that we've been given to by Srila Prabhupada is to speak about Krishna. And so we feel very fortunate to be with you on this special day of yours, and we're happy that you've taken the time to be with us. Hare Krishna Kaivalya.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, you have given the course. co-host Ram Sham Prabhu?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Thank you.
sir. Yes.
So, Kanchan Mataji will sing Jai Radha Madhav for 2 minutes and then we will start our class.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Ravi Hari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Randana Yamuna Tiravana Dhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Yamuna Tiravana Dhari
विश्वाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शिष्य विद्वान श्री जयसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
जय
कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
जय
नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय
जय
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की
जय
राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपी नाथ श्यामा कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय
Jai.
मथुरापुरी धाम की जय,
Jai.
जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय,
Jai.
गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय,
Jai.
तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय,
Jai.
राम वेद भक्त वृंद की
Jai.
और प्रेमानंदे.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Hari Hari Bol.
Namo Radhaya Bhutale Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani.
Bhagavan Prachad. Sesha Sanyavadi Pasad.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayana Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistuki. Ram Sham Prabhu, can you put slide number 1, please? So today's topic is understanding the purpose of Vedic knowledge based on the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, text number chapter 2, text 45 and 46. That actually very nicely explains what is the main purpose of understanding the Vedas, the Vedic knowledge. So we will have the shlok number 45 first, and then we will discuss about it, and then we will discuss 46 at the end of the class. So next slide, please. So this is the Vedas. They are different Vedas. Actually, it's not just one book. Vedas are many tons of books actually written for the Vedic knowledge, and we will discuss about that. But originally, the Vedas were written on the leaf of the tree, big larger leaves, and it was kept like that. But later on, it was written on when the Kali Yuga started. You know, people's memory were diminishing. At that time, it was written in the form of book. So next slide, please. Text number 242. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjino Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjino Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjino Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Word to word translation. Traigunya, pertaining to the three modes of material nature. Vishaya, on the subject matter. Veda, Vedic literature. Naistragunya, transcendental to the three modes of material nature. Bhava, be. Arjuna, O Arjun. Nirdvandha, without duality. Nitya Sattvastha, in the pure state of spiritual existence. Niryoga Kshema, free from ideas of gain and protection. Atmavan, established in the self. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Purport. All material activities involve action and reaction in the three modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results, which causes bondage in the material world. The Vedas mostly deal with the fruitive activities. to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to a position of transcendental plane. Arjuna, as a student and friend of Lord Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy, where in the beginning there is a Brahma Jigyasa, or the question on the supreme transcendence. All the living entities who are in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creation of the material world, gave the Vedic wisdom, advising how to live and get rid of the material entanglement. When the activities of the sense gratification, namely the Karma Kand chapter, are finished, then the chance of the spiritual realization is offered in the form of Upanishad, which are part of different Vedas. As the Bhagavad Gita is part of the fifth Veda, namely the Mahabharata. The Upanishad mark the beginning of the transcendental life. As long as material body exists, there are actions and reactions in the material mode. One has to learn to tolerate in the face of dualities, such as happiness and distress, or cold and warmth, and by tolerating such dualities, become free from anxieties regarding gain and loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness, when one is fully dependent on the goodwill of the Lord Krishna. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurnitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamayam Dadati Vadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare. So Srila Prabhupada has given very nice and elaborate description, explanation of this shloka actually. So I'd like to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, Srimad Bhagavatam is written in the purport that this is the fifth Veda, and it is actually part of Mahabharata, and it is known as Upanishad also. So Srimad Bhagavatam is very important literature, and we should actually read it very seriously and try to learn as much as we can. So in this slok, actually, we see that in the purport, actually, Prabhupada is explaining that they deal with the Karma Kand, begins with the Karma Kand. So actually, what is Karma Kand? Like we work for its result. So that's a Karma Kand. Actually, like most of the people in this material world, 99% people, they work for their pay. So that is it's a Sakam Karma. So the Karma Kand is actually, they just worry about their money, and then they think how to enjoy. But Sakam Bhakti is different. Sakam Bhakti is really, they have some desires, but they do Bhakti. So that's a Sakam Bhakti. And Nishkam Bhakti is Bhakti, where we don't have any desire for the results, we just work for Krishna. So that's Nishkam Bhakti is also called Bhakti Yoga. So Karma Kanda is actually done for fruitive activities, but Vedas actually teach us, how we can gradually elevate from that position to the field of sense gratification, to the position of the transcendental plane. So how we can, so that's the main purpose of the Vedas actually. Vedas teach us that thing, because Vedas, if you see superficially, it shows, that it describes with three modes of material nature, but Vedas is not one book, it's just compilation of book after book. There are so many books about that, and we will discuss in detail about those. So in purport, Sri Prabhupada is commenting on the three modes of material nature. As Lord Krishna is mentioning and summarizes the process of transcending, how we transcend these three modes of material nature. So in this material world, whenever we do any action, there is a reaction all the time. Every action has equal and opposite reaction. So if you work, we will get the karmas. If you work a bad work, if you do bad work, we we will get karmas and we will go to hellish planets. If we do good karmas, we will go to the upper planet system. So good or bad, both karmas are actually bad. So we have to learn how to do akarma. So where we do any activities for Krishna and we don't get any good results or bad results. So that's why it is advised, that we can get it in bhakti. Like chanting, even as a grahastha, we can do a karma by getting the house, keeping a temple in the house, serving the Lord, making prasadam for the Lord. So we can have the children, make them Krishna conscious. So we can have Krishna conscious life and not get any karma of that. So we have to learn that, and that Vedas actually teaches us those things. And also one has to learn how to tolerate the dualities of the happiness, distress, or heat and cold, those things. We have to learn and we have to tolerate actually. And because tolerating these kind of dualities, we will be free from our anxieties of the life, So we have to learn how to tolerate, because all the time we live in the material world, we will get this kind of problems, So we have to learn how to tolerate them. And the transcendental positions, which is getting like slowly after doing bhakti, and become fully Krishna consciousness. It depends on the goodwill of Krishna. It's not in our hand. We can do as much as we want, but it has to come through the mercy of Guru and Krishna. So that thing has to be there in the bhakti. So if we try to stay on the karmakand level all our life, that is the biggest roadblock for our spiritual advancement. Actually, we should not stay. We should try to slowly raise ourselves from one position to slowly, because it's a bhakti ladder, slowly goes from karmakand to karma yoga, then jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, or sometimes, people who are very serious, they can suddenly jump to the bhakti yoga. And so, but we have to go and learn how to do proper bhakti and what is the purpose of all this Vedic literature. We have to remember that. So if we study actually yoga, the Vedas in very detail and try to understand it properly, then we will find that they are prescribed for different kind of people actually. And they describe actually how we gradually elevate to Krishna consciousness. So in this shlok number 45, actually Krishna is instructing Arjuna to rise above the three modes of material nature, and he tells how to raise yourself. Krishna is telling that, and he's saying that the three modes of material nature, like goodness, passion, and ignorance, and how to free from these dualities. We have to know that our soul, actually, it's eternal soul, and it's unchanging all the time. So actually, we have to learn that we have the soul and we have the Paramatma residing in our heart. So if we worry about how we will maintain, Paramatma is here, he knows what is our intention and everything, and he tries to fulfill all the needs, So that means Krishna is telling Arjuna that you should not worry about this Chatur Purushartha like dharma, artha, kama, moksha. We should not, because many people think that this is the religion. This is not actually spirituality, and how it will not take us to Krishna. We will still be hanging by following the Chatur Purushartha of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. We will be still hanging here in this material world. That's not the way of going to upwards towards the spiritual life actually. So intention of actually these Vedas is to take shelter of Krishna and achieve Krishna. So Lord Krishna is the actually cause. He actually compiled the Vedas, and he is the compiler Veda, and he knows all the Vedas. He is knower of the Vedas, and this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Can you put slide number 6, please? So it says, Sarvasya Chaham Hardi Sannivishta Mata Smriti Jnana Apohanam Cha Vedesha Sarver Ahama Vedya Vedanta Krit Veda Vedeha Chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart. From me comes the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. So this is the purpose of Veda, that Krishna has to be known by the Vedas. Otherwise, that is the main purpose of Vedas. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedant, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So that's Krishna says here clearly that he, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. So that is the purpose of Vedas. And he actually compiled the Vedas. That's why also say. So main purpose of Vedas is to know the Supreme Lord Krishna. He is worshipable not only in the form of his impersonal Brahman, or localize the form as Paramatma, or the supreme form in Supreme Personality of Godhead as Bhagwan, but also in the form of Vedas. This is personalized form of Vedas. Vedas are actually incarnation of the Lord himself. And that's why in the Vedas, there are different Vedas as considered different parts of the body of the Lord. So actually Veda give proper direction to people so they can properly mold their lives, and ultimately they go to the Lord. So that is the purpose of Veda. The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. They were compiled by Srila Vyasadeva in the beginning of when the Dwapar Yuga was ending and Kali Yuga was starting. At that time, Srila Vyasadeva actually compiled them and wrote them in different Purans and Ithihas and all those things. And the Ved Vyas, as we know, he is the literally incarnation of Lord himself. So Lord sent Vyasadeva to write these Vedas so people can read them, because in the Kali Yuga memory is so short. We cannot remember too many things in this mortal world actually. So these Vedic scriptures actually are written in the Sanskrit language, and they're comprised of a lot of huge collection of books, which includes mundane science like material mundane things, also religion like ritualistic things, as well as spiritual things. So these different kind of knowledges are given for a different kind of people actually, because sometimes people are in the third grade or second grade. You don't give him the PhD knowledge, because it will be too hard for them. So that's why the Vedas are for different kind of people. There are different Vedas. So Vedas consist of Puranas, Ithihas, Upanishads. So Sri Vyasadeva wrote 18 Purans actually for the different kind of people in the different modes. Next slide, please. So Vedas are for written for the good, different kind of Purans written for the people in the mode of goodness are Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishnu Puran, Varaha Puran, Narada Puran, Garuda Puran, Padma Puran. Similarly, for the people who are in mode of passion, there are 6 Purans are for different so 6 Purans for passion are Markandeya Puran, Bhavishya Puran, Vaman Puran, Brahma Puran, Brahmanda Puran, and Brahma Vaivarta Puran. So these are the different Purans for the people in the mode of passion. For the people in mode of ignorance, there is Shiv Puran, Agni Puran, Matsya Puran, Linga Puran, Kurma Puran, and Iskanda Puran. So these are, so Vyasadeva wrote so many Purans actually for different people, because every Puran is not good for, one Puran he cannot write down, because there are different kind of people in different modes of material nature. So he wrote different Purans. So best Puran actually is Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the whole body of the Lord Krishna. And if we take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, then it is considered the body of Lord Krishna. So Vedas also include Ithihas and Ramayana, Mahabharata, these are the Ithihasas. So Bhagavad Gita actually, which we are reading today, is a part of Mahabharata. But it is also considered as a Upanishad. And Upanishad are called Vedanta. Vedanta means at the end of Vedas. So actually what is the meaning of Vedanta? Vedanta means Vedanta books are how to get out of this material world. In the beginning, some Vedas are like Purva Mimamsa. So those kind of books, they just teach how to live in this material world. But Vedanta books like Upanishads, they teach us how to get out of this material world. So Bhagavad Gita in essence is, Bhagavad Gita is actually essence of all the Puranas, all the Vedas. So Srila Prabhupada actually wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is. So before he wrote Bhagavad Gita, there were 740 different translations in English, but they were not able to make single devotee. But since Srila Prabhupada wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is, people could understand what is the real meaning of Bhagavad Gita as it is. And also so many people became devotees after reading this. And ISKCON is distributing so many books, many millions of books actually were given out this in the marathon, actually in the Gita Jayanti in the November, December time. So we can imagine, what is the effect of distributing Bhagavad Gita. And Sri Prabhupada wrote this book so nicely, it's very easy to understand if you read it seriously. And just in one instance, I will give, like Sri Prabhupada was, when New York temple was established, then he sent some devotees in the San Francisco, and there, once they established a small place for the temple, they invited Sri Prabhupada. So Sri Prabhupada went to San Francisco, and there Sri Prabhupada was invited for a program in a club. So he went there, and as soon as he went there, and he saw all people, there are so many, couple hundred people there, and they were all naked actually. But Srila Prabhupada was not mad that where I came here, who brought me here. So he actually told them very nicely, that there is no problem to be naked, but we should know that what is the real aim of life, and he explained them very nicely. So only that night, only Srila Prabhupada made 17 disciples, which includes Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Vishnujan Swami, and Gaur Hari Prabhu, who was living in the Gita Nagari. Now he's in Alachua. So many disciples came out of that meeting, and many other people joined later on, but the first night itself, so many people immediately left after listening to Srila Prabhupada. So we can imagine how powerful his presentation was, and how he changed the lives of so many millions of people actually in this world. So effect of Bhagavad Gita, we can see now, how many temples are opening in different parts of the world. So there are different Vedic literature for the people in different modes and different understandings. So it is like a Vedic ladder. In the Vedic ladder, people who have lower understanding of the Vedas, so people who are in the Tamogun, they are supposed in the lower steps. In the middle steps, people who are in the patient, they understand little bit about Krishna, but not in all, they have general understanding. And some people who are in mode of goodness, and they know much more about Vedas. So there are different Vedas, and they are in upper steps of the Vedic ladder. So by this, we can understand that there are Vedas for everybody, actually, everyone in any stage of devotion. And they can actually slowly elevate by reading different kind of Vedas, and they can increase their Krishna consciousness and become devotees of Krishna actually. So Vedas even show how to transcend these material modes. Like Bhagavad Gita is one of the part of Vedic literature, and it shows actually how slowly one can elevate from this materialistic consciousness. So there are many Vedic literature books like Shruti, Smriti, Pancharatra, and Upanishads, like Gita Upanishad and Gopal Tapni Upanishad, Ishopanishad, like that. So they actually teach us with Nirguna Bhakti or Bhakti Yoga is their subject of discussion. So these books, some books in the Vedic literature are very nice actually. They are actually made for the devotees' elevation, but some books also teach us, how to actually live in the material life, in the karma kandi stage, So there are different yogas, different books for different kind of people. And if you follow the injunctions, then we are very far from the faults. Actually, we are progressing in our Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-101 says, next slide please. Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, Pancharatra vidhin vidha ekantiki hared bhakti utpatayaiva kalpate. Even if a person seems to have attained steadiness in practicing pure bhakti of the Lord, that bhakti is misfortunate if he rejects the rules of Shruti, Smriti, Puran, Pancharatra due to lack of faith in them. So one have to have faith in Shruti, Smriti, Puran, Pancharatra, because if you have faith, then even if you know you are practicing bhakti yoga, it's all useless actually. So we must have faith in Vedic literature, otherwise bhakti is not good at all. Without following the rules of Shruti, Smriti, then we cannot achieve the Lord's bhakti. Next slide, please. And the Bhagavad Gita 9:17 says, Pitahamasya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitra onkara rik sham yajur evacha. So Krishna is saying that I am the father of universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge and purifier, and the syllabus Om. I am also Rig, Sham, Yajur, Ved. So Krishna is saying himself here clearly that he is all these Vedas, Rig Ved, Sham Veda, Yajur Ved. So he himself is all these Vedas. So next slide, please. So in the next 3 slides, actually, we will see how, because this shloka is started with the Traigunya. So what are the different modes and how we can recognize what are these modes. So we will read about the 3 modes of material nature, how. So Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a text 11, 25, 23rd shlok and 24th shlok. Work performed is the offering to me without consideration of fruit is considered to be in the mode of goodness. Work performed desire to enjoy the results is in the mode of patience, and work impelled by violence and envy is in the mode of ignorance. So what kind of work comes where? So this clearly, there is clear understanding about that. Absolute knowledge in the mode of absolute knowledge is in the mode of goodness. Knowledge based on the duality is in the mode of patience, and foolish materialistic knowledge is in the mode of ignorance. Knowledge based on me, that means on Krishna, however, is understood to be transcendental. So any knowledge about Krishna is transcendental knowledge. Next slide, please. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:25-9. That says a person exhibiting qualities such as self-control is understood to be predominantly in the mode of goodness. Similarly, a passionate person is recognized by his lust, because lust is very predominant in the people in the mode of passion. And one in ignorance is recognized by the qualities is anger. So people who have anger, they are mostly in the mode of ignorance. Next slide, please. So what is the actually where they go? Actually, these people, different modes of people, where they go. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ordam gachanti satvastha madhe tishtanti rajasa jaganya guna vrittistha ado gachanti tamasa. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of patience live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish planets. So people in the goodness, they go to the heavenly planets, upper planet system. People in the mode of patience, they actually live in this earthly planet, and those who do abominable activities in the mode of ignorance, they go to down hellish planets, the Patalok and other places. So now let us see the next slide, please. So these next 5 slides, actually, I made it for understanding. I took them from the Bhakti Vinod Thakur's book, Pure Love of God. And in this book, there are different questions, what is the purpose of Vedas and everything. So first question is what is the purpose of Vedas? Vedic literature teaches one to engage in pure bhakti. So actually, this is the main purpose of Vedic literature, that it has to engage someone in the pure bhakti, pure devotional service, according to the nature and qualification of so-called followers. Vedic literature has recommended various processes such as karma and jnana due to the fault of these followers, various options have cropped up. Actually, the Vedas are the only evidence and the instructing spiritual master of mankind. So they are on account of misinterpretation, various options other than pure devotional service have been preached. So actually, this is the problem. The followers is not the literature itself. Next slide, please. Is the purpose of Veda to attain Brahman? So Bhagavad Gita, it is taken from the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, where Srila Prabhupada, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutra, and the Bhagavad Gita are pure devotional literature. So these are the Vedic literature, Brahma Sutra and Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. According to the necessity, discussion about karma, jnana, mukti, and Brahman are found at particular places. But in conclusion, nothing other than the pure devotional service has been instructed. So actually, if we see very carefully in the Vedas, there is nothing other than the pure devotional service. Next slide, please. So what is the transcendental literature? Which literature will say transcendental, which literature will say material? So if a blind person guides another person, both of them will fall in the ditch. Similarly, the mundane authors and their blind followers are misguided and are regrettable. Actually, the Vedas and the literatures in pursuance of the Vedas are to be understood as transcendental literature. Next slide, please. What should we accept as Vedas? So which books we should accept as Vedas? It is not that if you want to get a book of Veda from anywhere, it should be accepted everywhere. Actually, what we have to see, we have to follow the Acharyas. Whatever the Acharyas of the authorized Sampradayas have accepted the Vedas, we should accept them. And whatever they have rejected, we should reject those literature. So we should actually understand, what Acharya actually explains, what they have approved. So those books we should read, not all the Vedic books. Next slide, please. So what have the Acharya accepted as Vedic literature? So here we will see Acharya has accepted the following Vedic literature. 11 Upanishads they have accepted as the Vedic literature. They are Isha Upanishad, Isha Upanishad Ken, Upanishad Katha, Upanishad Prashna Upanishad, Mundak Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Traitaya Upanishad, Aitreya Upanishad, Chandogya, Vrahat Aranyak, and Shetashwat Upanishad. So these are the Upanishads, accepted Upanishads. Tapanis like Gopal Tapani, Narsimha Tapani. So these are good. And 4 Vedas, Rig Ved, Shamved, Yajurved, and Atharved. So actually someone may ask, when the Vedas were written. Actually, during the rule of Chakshush, it was Chakshush Manvantar. When Chakshush Muni was there, it was 8th generation after Swayambhu Manu. So at that time, actually, Matsya Avatar appeared. So that Matsya Avatar actually delivered the Vedas. And it was not in the form of the book form, but it was in poetic meters. So, and verses of Vedas were composed at that time, and they were only in sound vibration, and it was not written. So they were passed on for generation after generation just in the form of hearing. After Vedas remained in the unwritten form for long time, the number of the verses actually, because many rishis, many munis actually wrote different verses actually, so gradually increased, and it became difficult to grasp, remember all those shlokas because there were so many. So then the sages actually, headed by Katyayan and Ashwalayan, those rishis, actually they composed the sutras of the Vedas, and they, after careful consideration, they make it so people can memorize them easier. And many mantras were added after that time. So when actually it was end of the Dwapar Yuga, when Lord came in the later incarnation as Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva actually became great, very much considering, how people will remember in the Kali Yuga, which was going to come. So he divided the main Veda was Yajurveda. So from Yajurveda, he divided Yajurveda in the 4 different Vedas. And he wrote in the book form. so people can actually read it. And that took place when just before when King Yudhishthir, Maharaj Yudhishthir was the Chakravarti Samrat, or he had emperor of the whole world. So Ved Vyasa, later on, Ved Vyasa disciples, actually all the munis, they themselves, all the rishis, and who were disciples of Ved Vyasa, divided the Vedas in different books, in different branches, so people can easily study them. So that's the way all the Vedas came. So next slide, please. So Srimad Bhagavatam. So these slides are, next few slides are just pictures which shows the previous slide, please. Yeah, the 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sham Veda, and Athur Veda. So Rig Veda actually have all the praises of the God, all the glories of the Lord. Yajur Veda has how to worship the Lord. Sam Veda has origin of the Sabda Brahman. And the Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda has various branches of the science like Ayurveda, economics, and the mathematics, Vedic mathematics, and the different branches like that. Next slide, please. And each Vedas has the different 4 divisions like Brahmans, and Aranyaks, Upanishads, and Samhitas. So Brahman and Aranyaks, this is Purva Mimamsa, and this is mostly the Karma Kandi knowledge. And Upanishads are known as Uttar Mimamsa. So this is mostly Gyan Kand and some part of Bhakti Yoga also, Gyan Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. And Samhitas are mostly Bhakti Yoga. Next slide, please. So there are different Vedic literature, but out of those literature, the 14 books are considered as books of knowledge. So 4 Veda, Rig Veda, and they have 10,552 mantras. Yajur Veda has 1,975 mantras, and Sam Veda has 1,875 mantras, and Atharva Veda has 5,987 mantras. And there are other books, like Vedang, 6 Vedangas. So those books have 6 Vedangas is like Shiksha, Vyakaran, Chanda, Niruktam, Jyotisham, and Kalpam. And they are what part of the body they belong to. It says that nose, some are part nose of the Lord, mouth of the Lord, feet of the Lord, ears of the Lord, and eyes of the Lord, and hands of the Lord. And there are Upangas. Upangas they are anga of the Vedas actually. So they were written later on, and they have different science, like Yajur Veda and herbal medicine. Yajur Veda is herbal medicine. Then there were archery, music like Gandharva Veda, and Isthape, Arthashastra, economics. So these different books were known as Upanga. Next slide, please. So divisions of Veda, it has different like Shrutis. Shrutis are all the Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sham Veda, Atharva Veda. Yajur Veda also has Krishna Yajur Veda and Shukla Yajur Veda. And then there is parts of Vedas, Mantra and Samhita, Brahmanya, which we already discussed. Then Smriti says Manu Smriti, Yagyavalkya Smriti, Parashara Smriti. And then there are Puranas, which we discussed already, 18 Puranas. And Angam has Vaishnava Angam, Shaiva Angam, and Shukta Angam. And then there is darshans, different darshans like Nyaya Darshan, Vaishishka Darshan, Shakya Darshan, Yoga Darshan, Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa. So these are the different parts of the Vedas. Okay, next slide, please. So about this, Krishna says in the next slide that the great personality Brahma, with great attention and concentration of the mind, studied the Vedas 3 times. So actually Vedas were taught to Brahmaji by Lord himself. And after scrutinizing, examining them, he has ascertained that attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of religion. So we should know that what he learned, what Brahmaji, after reading them 3 times and after really studying them deeply, what he concluded that the Sri Krishna is the highest of perfection of the religion. So that's why we have to learn from the Veda. Next slide, please. So next line actually is in this shloka, first line we already discussed now. So which shows that although the main purpose of Veda is to get pure devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but sometimes, from outside it looks Vedas are describing 3 modes, but that's not the proper aim of the Vedas. If we study deeply these Vedas, then we will know that Vedas actually does not have anything other than the bhakti. So in the second line of the verse actually says, Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto, means get above all the dualities of the life and should not be different in these dualities. Any condition we are going through, we should accept it as Lord's will. So actually whatever comes, we should think that this is because of my previous karmas in previous lives, and that's what I'm suffering. Because sometimes people say that I'm chanting for so many years and I do puja and I go to temple all the time and I read so many books, hear all the questions, why I am suffering. So suffering is not due to Krishna actually. It is due to our own call. So we should think that this is the will of Krishna and let me tolerate it. So tolerance is very important in our bhakti. And the last line says, Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. So Krishna is explaining actually to Arjuna that you do not worry about the Yoga Kshema, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Kshema Vahamyaham. So he takes care of our needs, everything. So whatever is available, to try it. And Kshema means worry about the protection of the things of what we have. So Lord says, Arjuna, do not worry about your maintenance. So the last line says, be Atmavan. Last word says Atmavan. Atmavan means Atma means soul or the super soul. So whoever can actually control the Lord by his pure bhakti, then he is the Atmavan. He is the real Atmavan. Because once Krishna gives us bhakti by his mercy and we become Krishna's dear bhakta, then what happens? Krishna actually try to help us out in any way. Like we know for Arjuna, he became Swarthi, the chariot driver. Also for the Bali Maharaj actually gave everything to him, Atma Samarpan. So, and at the last, when he didn't have anything, so he gave us his head and he told Lord, third step you put on my head. So Krishna actually put his head on his foot on his head, and Bali Maharaj was given the Sutal Lok. And Lord Krishna is so merciful to him that he became his doorkeeper there. He is still doorkeeper there. So this is the mercy of Krishna on his devotees. So we should remember that. So Srila Prabhupada actually gave class on this shloka, and he said that actually we are the part and parcel of Krishna, and when we are active in our Krishna consciousness, we are Atmavan. At that time we will become Atmavan, when we are very active in Krishna consciousness. So now let us, not too much time left, so I will read the last shloka. Okay, this slide is here. Yavanartha Udapane Sarvatra Sampilo Todake Tavan Sarveshu Vedeshu Brahmanasya Vijanataha. All purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Veda can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So in India, we see there are so many wells in each town, for different purposes. Some wells are for bathing only. Some wells are for cleaning the utensil. Some wells are for washing the clothes. But some wells are for drinking water. So there are different wells for different purposes. But if we get a lake with fresh water, then that lake can serve all the purposes. So people need not to go from well to well or fulfill the different needs. Similarly, one who is in complete knowledge of Vedic purpose. What is the Vedic purpose? To know the Krishna. Sir, then need only to perform Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. He need not to go through all these things. And if we do it for lots of pleasure and satisfy the Lord, then there is no purpose behind the Vedas actually. That satisfied all the purpose of the Vedas. At that time, the rituals of the Karma Kanda actually will not bother us at all, because that will be completely unnecessary. So when everyone has, because sometimes, everybody in this material world, many people have so many material desires actually. Even if you have desire, still, next slide please, still we should perform bhakti properly. So Srimad Bhagavatam 11:29-20 says, even Uddhavji is saying, my dear Uddhava, because I have personally established it, this process of devotional service unto me is transcendental and free from all any material motivation. Certainly a devotee never suffers even the slightest loss by adopting this process. So Krishna is actually encouraging that whatever this devotional service is, process is, people should follow it. So devotee actually never suffers in this material world, or there is no loss by adopting the process of bhakti. Next slide, please. So actually, whatever we have, if we have desires or no desires, still we should actually perform bhakti. Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10, Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi evrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. A person who has broader intelligence, whatever, whether he be full of material desires, without any material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. So if you worship the Lord with a desire or no desire at all, if you have no desire, just to desire to serve him, that is the best. But sometimes people desire for liberation, or people desire for material motives, but still they should actually take the personality of God, serve the personality of Godhead. Slowly, through the help of Vedic literature, one can actually go to Krishna. So that is the purpose of the Vedas, and Sri Prabhupada actually described it very nicely in the purpose of 45, slok number 45 and 46. So now I will close exactly on time. So I will open it for any questions, comments, or any reflections. So please go ahead. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Kaivalya Prabhu, for that comprehensive overview of the purpose of the Vedas. That last analogy that you use, that Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita, how we don't have to go to every different small wells of water to do different things, that everything can be served, in a reservoir of water. I think that sums everything up, that, there's so many different ways that we can go to different things, but we go to Krishna. Krishna is the supplier of everything. So very nicely said by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and as well as you. We can open it up if there's any questions at this time. Anything that the devotees may need further clarification on?
Any comment, questions?
Because that's one of those verses that have always stuck with me. And it's very, very, very poetic, very practical. Something that is always very helpful for me to meditate on, to understand this concept of how Krishna surpasses all religious dharmas, religious activities. This religion, that religion, this duty, that duty. Krishna serves. By serving Krishna, you serve it all. Maybe you could, if you want to say another couple words on that.
Yeah, there are so many things actually in this material world, and different people say different, do this. But if we just try to satisfy Krishna, we have to remember only one thing, that whenever we do any activity, we should see if the Krishna and my Guru Maharaj, spiritual master, will be happy with the thing or not. So if we actually keep that in mind always, whenever we undertake any endeavor and do anything, any activity, we should think about that whether this will please my spiritual master and Krishna or not. If something is against Krishna consciousness, we should never try to do it. We should stay away from that. So if we follow this principle, then we will really be successful in our spiritual journey, and ultimately we will achieve the Krishna's lotus feet.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for a very good information you gave. But it's a lot to learn in this, all the Vedas. And like you said, we always used to blindly go here and there and look for everything. But the way this much information is there is very much depth in that and a lot to know in this, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
There are
for
thousands
explaining.
of the Vedic books actually, but we should just see whatever we can read, and the books for the devotees, we should just read those Vedas, not the Vedic literature, which is for the mundane, which gives mundane knowledge. So there are different kind of books, gives mundane knowledge, also gives religiosity, the ritualistic knowledge, and also gives the bhakti part. So we should read only the books which gives us the bhakti mark, actually, how we can be in our devotional service.
You explained very good, Prabhu. It's very interesting today. Today class is very good and a lot to learn, of course. Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
My humble pranam, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, you gave us so much of information from, I tried to note down, but it is too much information for me to write down. Because you gave beautiful references from different verses from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and you explained very nicely with the different slides, different kinds of we know the Vedas, but other things that you explained about Upanishads and all, some things I have forgotten, you brought it to my memory. That's very nice. It's it's knowledge acquiring. But out of all that, what we need to remember is what you said. Is it pleasing to whatever activities I am doing? Is it going to be pleasing to Krishna, who is the Paramatma in our heart? And also, am I pleasing to the Guru? So I think these things, Srila Prabhupada, would he like it, whatever I do in my activities? Is it going to be favorable to my devotional service or, functioning of my daily life? No matter what happens, we have to remember Krishna is within us. He's going to be the controller, and he will definitely will guide us with, our deepest faith. And also I learned Bhakti Marg is the best marg, even though we have gone through a lot of things in our lifetime, reading so many different books. But I think Srila Prabhupada has awakened a lot of nice qualities, nice things in us. I think following Bhakti Yoga sincerely and having faith in Krishna, he will never let you down no matter what. I think, you just keep doing it. You may not see the visible results, but in your spiritual progress, I think you keep going, just like, any stormy weather or snowy weather or any difficult situation, you just follow that path. I think it's really nicely done by you. Very, very lot of quotations, everything. And Ram Shyam Prabhu, he was helping you really, and the kid was helping. Very nice. So thank you so much, Prabhu. We learned a lot from your lecture today. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kaivalya Prabhu. I wanted to thank you for your wonderful class. So much amazing information on very many levels, from beginning practice of Krishna consciousness to and through devotees who've been around for a long time. I wanted to ask you a question regarding how you spoke about the modes and gave great information on the modes of material nature. So goodness, passion, and ignorance. Would you evaluate or elaborate on those modes and how devotees can actually be multiplied in terms of who has them, or just some people think they're just one mode. I'm mode of goodness. Some people say, oh, this person's mode of passion, but that they can be someone can be mode of goodness and mode of ignorance at the same time. And also, as it relates to, for example, in the mode of ignorance, one goes to the lower planets. Is that relatable to devotees or those who are not devotees?
Okay, Mataji, there are so many. The modes are 3, but nobody is in the pure in one mode, all the time. There's mixed modes, So 3 modes, multiplied by 3 is 9. And then different people, the mixtures, make it 81 different kind of people, in the modes, So people are calling, because there is all the time mixture, sometime like in the same body, we have divine nature, and same body we have demonic nature also, some bad habits we have and some good habits we have. So everybody has those kind of things, so, but we have to try to make it more sattvic, and our thinking and our activities should be more towards mode of goodness. Even mode of goodness for bhakti mode of goodness is essential, but then we have to actually transcend mode of bhakti also. To go to Krishna Lok, actually we have to be in the Vishuddha Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti. And so that is above the mode of goodness. So even if we are good mode of goodness, we have to transcend that mode also. But anything we do tamasi things, all the bad things, we have to, as a devotee, we have to give them up. If we have any tamasi habits, we should actually give them up. And then it's a very big topic, so it's very hard to explain all the 3 modes. Whole chapter is given about the different modes in Bhagavad Gita. So, and there are different characteristics and all those things. But we have to remember that we have to even transcend the mode of goodness. So we have to have good thinking, good fresh food eating, and our activity should be pure and in the Krishna consciousness. And then we can slowly elevate ourselves to Vishuddha Bhakti. And then from there we can progress ultimately. So thank you very much for your question. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kaivalya. Mother Sudevi has her hand up, so I'm going to call on her.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This class,
Hare
a very quick comment. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself said, Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam. So Bhagavatam is a spotless Purana. So like you sum it up, you don't have to go look anywhere. So according to, you said, so Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, so all these Vedas are there's a different reason for it. So like Mahaprabhu said, Srimad Bhagavatam, Purana Amalam, spotless Purana. So those are enough for us to get everything we need to know and for our devotional service. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much.
So I want to request all the devotees, if you could take your microphones off of mute. And we want to show our gratitude and appreciation for Kaivalya Prabhu. I mentioned earlier before the class that today is his birthday, his appearance day. And we really want to show our gratitude. All the very nice classes Kaivalya has done for us over the past year, all the wonderful service that Kaivalya has done over decades here at ISKCON Philadelphia. The Brahminical example that he sets for us. We're just so thankful and grateful. So we want to chant Hari Bol 3 times for Kaivalya, but I want us to all do it together in unison. If you want to take your cameras off, that would be great too, so he could see your face. Okay, raise your hands up. Hari Bol!
Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Hari Bol!
Hari
Bol! Hari Bol!
Krishna
Hari Bol!
Hari Bol! Hare Krishna!
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
His Grace Kaivalya Prabhu ki.
Happy
Krishna,
Krishna conscious birthday, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Many more happy returns of the day, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
We need many more classes like this, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, happy birthday, Prabhu. Krishna conscious birthday.
So earlier today we sang the Hare Krishna birthday song. So we did a different type of birthday wish today by chanting, tonight by chanting Hari Bol. Couple things coming up this week I want to mention for the devotees. On Wednesday. This Wednesday is the appearance day of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. This is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was, by all means, outstanding and incredible, exemplary in every aspect of his life. From the scientific and scholarly point of view, he was considered to be a genius. He wrote books on mathematics, astronomy, astrology. He did this at the young age of, early teens, late, like 10, 11, 12. He was teaching classes. But we know him to be the spiritual revolutionary who carried on the mission from his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that mission to carry Krishna consciousness and the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu beyond the Indian caste system, beyond those who were socially qualified or unqualified, to take this message, make it for the most scholarly people as well for the most ignorant people, to take this message and broadcast it all over the world. And in 1922, that was the mission that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur imparted to our beloved Srila Prabhupada. So on Wednesday, we have a couple different ways that we're going to be remembering Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. From 11 to 12 o'clock, we will be reading from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava, a biography of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And then in the evening after our Bhagavad Gita at 5:30, we're going to be listening to a lecture by Srila Prabhupada that he gave on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day. We'll also chant the Guru Astakam prayers at that time as well. So we have an afternoon program as well as an evening program. On Wednesday, it was in the newsletter, 11 to 12 o'clock, and then also 5:30 to 6:30 in the evening. Also, that's a day we fast until noon. I want to remind the devotees of the different programs we also offer Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you like this Bhagavad Gita, we do a Bhagavad Gita reading. We're in the fourth chapter right now. It's a half hour long. So we call it our Bhagavad Gita happy hour. End of the day, end of the workday. Come unwind and tune into the Bhagavad Gita and get a cup of nectar for free from Srila Prabhupada. Also, every morning we have Srimad Bhagavatam class, 7:50 to 8:30. A great way to start the morning with transcendental knowledge. We're in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, studying about the bewilderment of Krishna, the bewilderment that Krishna put Lord Brahma into. And a lot of nectar. We have a great sangha, a great group of devotees. Also want to mention that during this month, we want to encourage the devotees who do not have this book called the Chaitanya Charitamrita. As we lead up to Gaur Purnima, the appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this book is the biography, authoritative biography on the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya, written by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Srila Prabhupada, he actually took great solace and refuge in reading this book, and he translated it and gave purports for our benefit and our understanding. So if you don't have this book, it's a must to have in your library. I think we were distributing it for $108. So if you're interested, we have them at the temple. We have lots of different cases, and we're hoping that all our members, all our congregation, all the devotees that are seeking out the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will get this book. I started reading it every morning. Another devotee, we read it every morning for 15 minutes, and it's just real nectar, real nectar. We hope that you will also make it part of your life and put it into your library. Our Sunday Feast sponsor tonight, we'd like to thank Julian and Radhika Soni. the children of Babesh Soni. So we'd like to thank them. They sponsored the feast tonight. We have prashadam that is available for pickup starting now, as well as milk if you purchased it from Gita Nagari. We'd like to thank our Sunday Feast sponsor, for their generous contribution, and our gratitude to you, Kaivalya Prabhu, and to all the devotees for tuning in today and participating in our programs. We hope to see you tonight at Darshan and throughout the week at our programs. Please remain safe, and hopefully in the upcoming months we'll be able to do more events together in person once things become a little safer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya
Krishna,
kripa
Krishna,